Hey everybody, this is Erica from the Classy Climb blog. I brought on Mr. Dr. Meadows, and in the links we'll have his book, Alternative Financial Medicine. That's his catchphrase. I'll let him introduce himself. But hey, thank you guys for being here on this Thursday night. Tell the audience who you are, Mr. Meadows.
All right, Erica, thanks for having me back on. My name's Kenyon Meadows. I'm a practicing physician and oncologist by day, and by night, I'm an investor, and I've been following the Classy Climb blog and Erica for a while now, and finally reached out to her on the heels of my book, and she's gracious enough to have me on. So I'm very happy to be here.
That's right. Hey, if you look in the links, I've already provided Dr. Meadows' Amazon link in the links that are already at the top. So Cam or any moderators that come on, please share his link while he's talking. And you already know, if you go to Amazon, you can find me, Erica Williams, Smartphone Millionaire, how to lend to people, real estate, all from the palm of your hand. Probably have edition 2 coming out for this Christmas. So excellent. Super exciting. Yeah. Love writing, love trying to give people value and information. So tell us what's up, Doctor. You came on the Wednesday show. You gave us all the good stuff. Don't give it away here, though. Give some. Give them a sample here. So give us a recap. I know you went traveling to Paris. Come on, let us know. Living the life.
Well, sure. I mean, what's one of the nice things when you got some passive income, you can take off and take a nice trip. Now, real quick, seriously, that was our big trip over to Paris a couple of weeks ago. Spent a week over there. Saw the Palace of Versailles, the Louvre Museum. I mean, these structures are incredible. I mean, like billion-dollar buildings. I'm not joking. When you look at the marble, the gold, the paintings, the sculptures, just incredible. So I would encourage anybody, once you get your weight up and got your money situated, definitely an overseas trip, man. Make you see America very differently too.
Very differently. It puts it on perspective. Like, I remember Jermaine Ellis or Jermaine that's on YouTube. He's like, America's the easiest place to make money. Not always the greatest for living, but here's my thing. Some places in Europe are kind of lower quality of living, but cheaper. Cheaper. You can still walk to places. You can still eat food. You can, you can live a life. It's just.
Paris, you need to have a little bit of bread.
Yeah, Paris, you need to have bread. Now, if you want to live in the edges of the cottages of the France,
yeah, what to say. But to kind of take it back to how you and I hooked up, as I was following your blog, the thing that was kind of amazing to me was, everybody invests in various different asset classes, but when I started to listen to all the stuff you were into, it just overlapped, honestly, with like every category, like in my book. You were talking about crowdfunding. You were talking about peer-to-peer lending. You were talking about rentals, So I was like, man, this is everything that's in my book. So I need to I think her audience, there's some actual synergy there. She's been preaching this stuff. She's got her own books. I got a book. So why can't we, link up and see if we can't bring some extra value to folks?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the crazy thing is, I think, and I don't want to like verbally like bomb it all over everybody, but I'm like, if you get around different groups of people, you will hear such different conversations, right? Like I was talking about investment groups and all this stuff, and everybody's like, yeah, we've been doing that for 20 years, and I'm sitting there like, what? Right? Or I try to bring up a conversation, and people are like, oh, that's old news. That's old news to them. It wasn't old news to people my age. It wasn't old news to people I knew. Even tax liens. Like when I was talking about tax liens, people were like, what? But the group of retirees that introduced us to tax liens, this was just everyday life, right? Monthly dividend stocks was just everyday life. Yeah. And so I felt like not only was like, how Grant Cardone success is my duty, it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, I have to like share this with someone because I feel like, the people perish for lack of knowledge, but also people say, well, no one ever told me how to do it. Well, now you have people out there on the internet. You have Andre, you have me, you have Hood Estate, you have all these people that look like you telling you, even Charles Ogilvy, telling you how to do it. So there really isn't that many excuses.
Right. And I mean, for me, the big leap to like write the book was, I just started, interacting with a lot of my colleagues, even, folks who have a lot of money, but like, I still felt there was a big lack of knowledge. Like, number one, there, I call my book Alternative Financial Medicine. So it's a play on the whole alternative asset thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something other than stocks and bonds, right? And you'll be surprised the number of people who, make a nice amount of money, say like dentists, physicians, this and that, but their knowledge of like investing is pretty. In a lot of instances it's fairly limited. I mean, they know mutual funds, they know maybe bonds, treasuries, that kind of stuff. But when it even branching out to something simple like rental property and real estate, I mean, things get real sketchy after that. But I knew there was a knowledge, or I'm sorry, a hunger to want to learn about some of this other stuff. Because when I started talking to people, like in the doctor's lounge, which is the classic place to share tales of what you're into, I would tell people, oh yeah, I'm making 10 or 12% with my peer-to-peer loans on Lending Club or whatever. And people were like, what is that? And I would tell people, oh yeah, I'm making 15% on this private loan for this house flip. And people would just, they would engage me and they want to talk to me for like 15 or 20 minutes, like in the lounge. And like when that happened like a million times, I was like, you know what, I need to write a book about this and just kind of get it out there, So that was really my thing. So I was shocked at the lack of knowledge, even amongst people who are quote unquote like wealthy or make a lot of money,
Well, so there's two things there. On American Greed Show, they get doctors all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
I hate to say it, I'm not making fun of them, but they be getting them doctors left and right? This one doctor was 70 years old. He's like, I got to work 20 more years. I was like, dang. Mm-hmm. So, but on the second level is in America, it's like we pay people to specialize. And that's why Rich Dad, Poor Dad resonates with so many people, because people get so specialized that when you tell them something new, it's like, I never heard of that. Why didn't you tell me about that? Right. And so that is, I think that's where that comes from, right? Because they're a doctor, they're intensely special, like even engineers here. Like I'll say some concepts here in Austin, and I'm sitting around with engineers, VC refresher screen. I'm sitting there with engineers and I'm like, what? You're making 120 a year, but you don't know where else to put your money? Like it's super interesting. So yeah, VC refresher screen. Everybody in the comment section, if you can hear me, if there's feedback, let me know. Push a 1 in the comments. If not, VC, just refresher screen.
Yeah, it is funny.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it is funny. Yeah, docs don't have the best reputation like as investors, and yeah, it's well known that some financial professionals, scammers, and this and that, they do target, because I mean, we kind of make the assumption that because we've gone through a ton of training and everything, that the person like managing your money is also not only like very competent, but also kind of very, very scrupulous. Like they've taken an oath kind of deal. And it ain't that way when it comes to, investments and stuff like that. And a lot of times people don't have like the time or interest to maybe like do due diligence or learn or scrutinize. And so, yeah, there can be a lot of that taken advantage of, for sure.
Okay, they said my mic is very loud. You know what it is? My hair is pulled back. So I'm going to talk in normal tones. I'm going to take it down. Everybody let me know, is this better? Mm-hmm. Is this better? I'm going to speak in the house terms because my hair is out of the mic's way. So sorry, VC, let me help you. Okay. Yeah, and I think, that's probably the best thing. The best thing is that you did write that book, right? So you could you could put it in your office, you could have it on display, there's all kind of ways that other doctors could come to you for knowledge and also future investment, right? So
well sure, absolutely. I've in terms of marketing it and everything, while I did initially start off kind of marketing it to that group, I didn't also realize, I mean, a lot of these concepts and ideas are applicable to anybody. I've got ideas in the book that for people that got $25 to spare to $25,000 to spare. So, and that's why I really started to branch off and try to reach out to some of the YouTubers and people who already had kind of financial followings. And so just totally made sense to get with your audience.
Well, Dr. Meadows, somebody in the comments asked, what is your doctorate in?
Well, I'm a medical doctor, MD, and I'm a specialist in oncology and specifically radiation. So I treat cancer patients with radiation. So that's me, the day
Y'all,
job anyway. Yeah.
he's not a doctor on paper. He's a
No.
doctor in real life, right?
Yeah,
So sometimes
definitely.
sometimes people are like, "What's your doctorate in?"
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
paper clips and candies and kittens. So my doctorate's in.
Right, right.
People are laughing at me because I'm talking like this now in the
Your
comment section.
your demure voice.
Bring it in the house, boys. Um, and so, here's the interesting thing. you know, I was talking and I was thinking about the other day. Oh my God, someone said it sounds like, stop it, you guys, calm down. So I was talking the other day in the Live Wednesday training, and this guy was like talking about the stock market. And I said it was 2080, right? Um, 2080, right? So 20% of people in America are getting the gains off the stock market. Really? And if you look at the financial trajectory of America, it's really the top 20% who
Hmm.
are getting that extra, esoteric knowledge, right? Um, and so I think with this alternative paths, you could entice more people, right? Because most people are like, man, I ain't trying to invest in the stock market. It's a gamble.
Hmm.
But if you start saying Lending Club, where you can get a loan, where you can get a loan, or you can help chip in and get money off a loan, 15% returns on your money, 13% returns, 12% returns, that starts piquing people's ears because it's like, oh, there's a club or a group I could be a part of. Do you know what I'm saying? Do
Yeah.
you get that? Do you get that kind of feel when you talk to people, when you talk about certain little groups like Lending Club or Prosper or?
Yeah, I always find it's useful to kind of lead with what the potential returns are, right? And I usually couch it in stock market terms where, if you look really, really long term at the stock market, the returns, if you stay invested in everything, are kind of in that 8 to 12% range. 8% if you kind of do the blue chip thing, 12% if you do more of the small cap, take a little bit more risk. And so I like to say, look, okay, most people are conditioned, that's the kind of return you'd want over time in the market. So what if you could get that, but you could avoid, a 2001 crash? You could avoid a 2008 crash, because that was really my motivation, right? Like 2008 was really the first time that I had significant amount of money in the market. So when it crashed like that, I really felt it. And I just was like, and I was, young in my career, only a couple of years out practicing. And so I knew it would come back, but it's still like, I don't want to have to sit through, a 40% correction, you know what I mean? And wait a couple of years
Exactly.
for it come back. And I was like, is there something else I could be doing with the money instead, where I at least have either I have control over it, or it's not correlated with the stock market, so that if the stock market falls, this other thing doesn't necessarily fall. And so that began my whole journey into looking at other stuff, you know. So that was me. And so, my very first thing after doing a lot of learning and whatnot was getting into the private lending with the house flipping thing. Once I really learned how that biz worked, I was like, yeah, I'd love to make 15% on my money and have it secured with a house, as opposed to, a stock, you know what I mean? So that's just an example.
Well, when you talk about private lending to house flippers,
Hmm.
do you think that's scary to people? Do you think, what do you think it's too expensive? How much money will you give? When you did your first deal, what did you give? 50,000, 60,000 to the guy? I mean,
Yeah,
what did you secure it with?
yeah, so number one, just to back up for the audience, so when you see folks flipping houses, okay, they don't get the money from a bank. Banks do not loan money on houses that need a lot of rehab work. So people that want to do fix and flips, either they have their own money or they might come to somebody like me, a private lender, and get a short term high interest loan, say for instance 12, 15, 18%. And they will pay that high interest because they only need the money for a short amount of time. And of course, they're hoping to make a nice chunk of money on a profit when they actually sell the house. So once I learned about that, and then the key kicker was, just like the bank down the street, I can get on that mortgage deed and be like, look, if this deal goes bad, that house belongs to me in exchange for that money that I put up. So I always have an asset. So like once I learned that I could be like the first position mortgage, and I really was in control, then it didn't seem so fearful writing the check. And that first check I wrote, I didn't fund the whole thing. I funded part of it. I funded 20, like it was like 25,000 out of like the 70 some thousand, right?
Oh yeah, that's
and
nice.
Then, and then as I got confident in it more, I started to fund entire things. And then and that was back in early 2013. And it just so happens that's also when the crowdfunding stuff on the real estate side of things started to kind of really pop off, right? And then I was like, okay, if you don't have, 25,000, we got these crowdfunding sites out there now where you can put 1,000 on a house flip and just participate online. And I was like, but this is great. So I started doing a lot of those projects too, so I've done 40 or 50 of those, in addition to the big projects that I do offline. And that's been a great source of income.
So you've done like 40 or 50 like
crowdfunding deals.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And probably around anywhere between like 15 to 17 like full house flips as well. Yeah, at this time.
So which one do you feel more confident with?
Well, to be honest with you, the gentleman I do the house flips with, we've been partners now for close to 3 years, and so I've never not made money on a deal. Some of them have been modest, but I've always made money, and we actually switched to an arrangement where I get a piece of the upside in exchange for the interest. So those returns are nice, and I've got a good working relationship with him. So I feel better about those, even though the crowdfunding online, out of the 40 or so that I've done, like maybe 3 or 4 haven't worked out. They're going through the foreclosure process and all that kind of stuff. And I think I'll eventually get my money back, but the vast majority of them have worked out. So I feel pretty good about online crowdfunding too. I really do.
Yeah, I like that. Hey, there's 97 of y'all up in here. Let's hit that like button. You see, I'm using my inside house voice tonight. Let's hit that like button, y'all.
They want you to turn up.
They want me to turn up, but I got the headset on, so I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good tonight. So I like that. I like that because I was just the people in the Wednesday live training last night got to hear firsthand Money Man Dude talking about working out the kinks now so that when he takes private money from lenders, he can know how to okay, got it. And I can, fix this part of the house first and all that. It's important. So I'm glad you connected with somebody that you trust because, bigger pockets make you think there's a horror story under every couch. And you're like,
and you mentioned too, you mentioned masterminds, and you go to some masterminds, right?
Oh yes, a ton now.
Well, my main partner in the house flipping is somebody that I met through a connection, through a mastermind. So that the beautiful thing about masterminds is that, for ones that have been together for a long time and everybody knows each other, it's kind of like a pre-vetted kind of thing, when they suggest someone. So that was huge. So I'm very big for masterminds. If you can get in one, it could really accelerate the process.
Well, for me right now, what I do is I wrote a list of places I wanted to go, things I wanted to do, how I wanted to invest my money this year, to push myself to the next level. Because this is fun. I'm not gonna lie to you. I get on YouTube, I laugh it up with you guys. There's 100 of you in here right now. Make sure you hit the like button. They're laughing back with me. The chat side right now is so wow. I'm not even touching it yet because we're just talking. And yeah, please give me likes for the inside voice. Now, that's what somebody just said. But it's so interesting. It's so interesting that that one thing leads to another, right? So hood estates. I don't know if you know kind of hood estates and the trucking, and I was talking to you about it. I'm going on a mastermind with them and several other people in September in Orlando. Well, we've already decided to plan some future trips for next year, right? And so I think what happens is you're mixing that, I'm getting to see you as a real person and know that we're on kind of the same trajectory. And that's what masterminds do, right? Masterminds provide this getting like-minded people in a room, because there's this funny thing somebody said the other day. I think it was Todd Millionaire's podcast. He was like, everybody claims to be an investor, and then you meet them, they don't have no rentals, they don't have no house, they haven't flipped anything. And so when you get in a room with people like you who've done it, it's let me work with that person. Let me make time in my day to work with that person because they're an actual doer, right? And you'll get further with people who are doers than you will. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? You know, getting around uh, like-minded people, and just to be frank about it, kind of like-moneyed people too, you know? And most of these masterminds that I've attended, you know, there's a requirement in terms of, you know, how much deal experience you have or capital to bring. I mean, they want people in the room that can contribute, you know? And that's the real power behind it.
Oh, for sure. See, here's the thing. I reached out to the O'Shea show. What's up, Cam Cam? Cam Cam, if you go to the top of the show, Cam Cam, if you go to the top of the show, I put several links up there that you can share. Even Dr. Meadows' book. It would be so helpful if you could share those, Cam Cam. It should be at the top of the chat if you can find them. Okay. So sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. I'm just want to make sure he posted your link. Thank you so much. I don't know if you can see it in the comments, chat section. But the like money thing is very important, right? Because so the truck, right? So we were talking about the truck, and it was $40,000. The man got approved for a loan. It was great. But imagine if you couldn't get approved for a loan. Just imagine, right? And you wanted to work with someone or partner with someone, you would need somebody with 20. So, 20 each, 20K. And so sometimes that's why I talk about on this show, like little baby steps get you bigger, right? Like if you start saving 100 a week, 200 a week, or let's say you make an extra $1,000 a month, like bringing your income up and then taking that money and invest, at the end of the year, you should have 12 grand, right? Because you've pushed the income up.
Yeah.
So people can find ways to make deals and make money. I just think masterminds are such a trick, like they're such a hack to the game. And people don't like networking. I hear it all the time. People are like, oh, I don't want to network.
Got to.
I don't have time.
We got somebody in the super chat that gave some money. Anti-gravity. Mm-hmm. Doctor, some people feel interest is immoral for various reasons. What should they invest in instead? Man, interesting question. Wow. I hear you. You're talking about maybe usury and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, I would say this. Given the money system that we have in America, where they're constantly printing more money, I mean, you pretty much are forced to invest in stuff that has interest just to keep up with inflation, so that makes it real tough. If you don't want to invest in something that has interest in it, I think you would have to speculate a lot in terms of buying assets that you're just counting on going up in price appreciation, which could be a stock. Don't get me wrong. It could be a property, and again, you're just counting on it to go up in price and sell it later for a big profit kind of deal. But if it wasn't for interest, it'd be very hard for me to do a lot of the things that I do. I mean, that's been my main source of investment returns. I like lending. And again, even with the high interest rates that I might charge on a private loan for a house, I think I've gone as high as like 16%. Again, if that person has selected that house correctly, if they've bought it correctly and they don't over rehab it and all that, it's still going to be a profitable deal to them. And we're selling these usually to a home buyer type person, and they're happy to buy a nicely, renovated house. So it's kind of everybody wins. And so, I don't see like the immorality behind that personally, but that's interesting.
Well, to answer anti-gravity question, in my mind, one way he could do that is he could provide rental properties for low-income housing, right? He could do, if it's he or she, I don't know who it is. I want to be careful. But I think immoral is strong for whatever reasons. It's their strong choice, but they can invest in farms. They can invest in all kinds of things. At the end of the day, even let's say you have a sales price you're selling your whatever for $100 and you could sell it for 50. There's some inflation in that price. Do you know what I mean? So absolutely. I think be very careful with that. If you feel it's immoral, I think rental properties may be the way to go, and you provide housing for low income people. That could be one.
You
So,
could if you want to be real speculative, you could invest in a startup company, give some equity in a business or something like that, and maybe it may blow up, and you can make a lot of money without charging interest that way. Shout out to Donnie Breeze, super chat. I know Dr. Meadows does options trading. Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. That's a that's an alternative way to invest in the stock market where you kind of you kind of rent out the stock that you own and get cash flow on it. So that's a whole different get down.
oh yeah, it's a whole different get down for that.
It's but I will tell you though, Erica, I'm starting to do. We're not going to get into that detail right now because that actually was something that wasn't in the book. 'Cause that's something I just got into in the past year. But you talk about something that's very scalable and location independent, and a nice way to also generate some income, particularly if you got a pretty decent sized portfolio.
Mhm.
Um, Stock options is a nice thing, and that may be kind of like my next big thing that I get into. There's a lot of people talking about it online and everything. I think sometimes the way they explain it sometimes is not all that clear, and I think I could break it down to people in a way that's understandable. But keep your eyes open for that down the road coming out of me, the stock trading thing, stock options.
Interesting. Look at
Yeah.
you.
Hmm.
Something new every day, man.
Yeah, man. I'm a little bit of an investment junkie. I mean, some of my colleagues, my friends, they're like, dude,
They're
where,
like, dude,
where do you
calm
find the
down.
time for that? And I'm just like, I'm constant with it. I'm constantly podcasting. I'm constantly networking and learning. So, it's just one of my things.
But I like that. I like that you are pushing. You're pushing for more.
Hmm.
There's a drive there. And I think people sometimes go, oh, all people want is money. And I'm like, no, some people want purpose. They want to give themselves drive. Um, Thank you,
Yeah.
Ron Brown, for the super. Man, y'all are hitting us. Hold on, wait a minute. Thank you, Ron Brown. Sup, fellow Texan. By the way,
Yeah.
go Texans. Rhonda, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel.
Big time.
Um, they
And you,
asked, do you
and you
have a
mentioned about
channel?
And you meant well, I do actually.
Mhm.
It's alternative financial medicine. Now, I will admit, I in the course of like promoting my book and everything, I kind of started a little heavy with the YouTube channel, which was never really like my thing. Now, I still have some legacy content on there that's actually I think pretty useful, and I'm trying to figure out how much more I'm going to do with it. But yeah, certainly go check it out. There is some good stuff on there. But my thing is, I like this situation where I can pop in and borrow somebody else's audience and bring some value. I think that works out better for my schedule rather than trying to be a constant YouTuber. It's tough.
I also think you could do good at podcasting. You seem like you'd have a good, you can jump on for 20 minutes or record
Yeah,
segments of
yeah,
information. I think you could do
absolutely,
that too. There's,
absolutely.
there's like
And
112 of y'all up in here. Hit that like button, y'all. Do me a favor. Hit that like button.
yeah, you mentioned about like purpose and all that kind of stuff, and for me, I actually I want to give myself the option to like leave medicine earlier and on my terms if I want to, right? And I've kind of shifted from that mind frame of like trying to stack up a big pile of money to withdraw on as a retirement, and I'm really kind of trying to see if I can like replace my income with cash flow now, and just have that be a pathway where maybe if I want to go part time in medicine or do something else, so it is like a freedom thing, ultimately we talk about purpose, there's got to be something deeper underlying than just the money,
Oh, for sure. Listen, there's a vice president of the farm credit here in Texas. He's black. He's from South Carolina. He heard my accent. He was like, "Oh, I know where you're from, Robinson
Uh-huh.
County, North Carolina." I was like, "Oh my!" So, you think you talk proper, but clearly I'm not. And he was like, his whole goal at this point, now he's made vice president. He pretty much said he's never going to make president. He's 64. He's like, I just want to get at least 20 black and Hispanic children to get farms just so they can get in on all this money that's being made. They can get a hunting, part of their grounds be hunting, part of their grounds be like, these, like in Texas here, they have sometimes these cabins. They look like trailers, but really they're cabins. And they put together really quickly, prefab cabins. And they are facing water, or they're facing some kind of tree line, and people rent those out Airbnb like crazy. Whole companies will do company retreat weekends at these places, and it's a big thing. Like even here, and I'm gonna get in the comment section in a second, you guys. I saw all the haze at the beginning. I see the money being made. I can see it. Like, right, if you're hunting for $5,000 per person for some gazelles or some whatever weird animals they done brought to Texas, it's some money being made. If you're bringing 10 dudes, $5,000 a pop, you have to bring your own guns. If you don't bring your own guns, you have to rent guns. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of money being spent. Even the helicopter thing where they're up in the helicopter shooting hogs, like there's just so many ways that they're making money. And I talk about farming because I told the people in the group, they've got all these farm loans at like 1% for $1 million. The criteria right now they're really struggling is young beginning farmers, and that's like people under 35, women, minorities. Like they're really trying hard to get those people in. But when you have years of discrimination, it kind of like turns people away, as the undesired effect. So thank you. Somebody said that we always have great content. I'm going to go back up to the top if I can here, and I'm going to just say hey to some of our people in here. Make sure you guys post your questions about investing. What are some things you're thinking about to ask the doctor while he's here? There's some things I'm going to touch on later, probably, and I'll. So what's up, Rashid Davis, Wild Jones Report, Aaron Black Legacy, Tiana Stokes, Cashmatic, Chris Love, Julia Dixon, Theodore Cousins. This is my radio voice, y'all. CJ, Clifton Burns, Jabbar, T. Kelly, Anti-Gravity, JB Cummings, VC. Thank you, VC. VC, whether she knows it or not, or he has sponsored the radio voice that you have here tonight. Because they have on headphones and I'm hurting their ears. Mrs. Love Jones, Erica Robertson, 100% Crypto, Clifton Burns, Laura Cottrell, Cashmatic, T. Beezy, I don't even know how that says that. Mentor Shelley, hello, Anti-Gravity, Mike Polar, thank you, I try to be funny. Stephanie Oleo, I'm going to ruin your last name, I apologize. Leslie, let's see. Brandon Jones, Laura, hello. I have no income because I have capital gains. Well, congratulations, Jason. Hope that works well. Marcus Muhammad. Apple is 35% a year. Oh, interesting. It probably did go up. I see y'all going back and forth with Umar Johnson. I'm not going to touch that. Leave that alone.
Oh, man. What's the latest with Umar? I won't even
ask. No. That's how we get in the hole.
Okay,
no. I mean, here's the thing. I think we have great intellectuals, and sometimes people are perfectionists, and like it has to be perfect or they don't do it. And so that gets you into dangerous situations, especially when you're in a position asking for money to make something happen. Right. And I think honestly, I'm not going to leave the Umar Johnson thing alone. I'm going to kind of segue it to people. People sometimes are big on investing by themselves. Nah, Erica, I want to buy the rental. I want to buy the truck. I want to buy it all by myself. I don't want to answer to other people. I don't want to have partners. I don't want a JV. And guess what? They take so long raising the funds and the capital to get that first deal by themselves. 2-3 years in, they could have already invested 2 or 3 homes or properties with others, or get some percentage, right? I'm big on laddering your income till you get to where you can, right? And that's how you win is ladering up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Umar did a big disservice with what he did, man. I actually came really, really close to giving him a contribution, like right before that whole stripper thing broke. And then I was like, okay, this is too much for me. And I'm glad that I didn't. But I was a believer.
I hate to say, I'm gonna ruin a lot of people's opinions. A lot of people think I would come down on him. I come down on him. I don't come down on him because here's my thoughts. He gave y'all a good show, right? Like he's been doing speeches, he's been doing PR for young Black males and the school system. Like he's been talking for about 6 years. I kind of feel like those donations are his to do. Like, but don't lie. Like if you're not going to do the school, just say you're not going to do the school. Like some people gave those donations because they just liked all the good work he was doing. Somebody who gave 100, 200, 500, their legs aren't broken. But the person, if they gave 10, 20, 30 grand, yeah. you need to call them on the phone. Now I just know people who know him, and they said he just isolated himself, and it's hard to talk with someone when they just like freak out, right?
Yeah, and to kind of bring it back to just a general investing principle and whatnot. I mean, what his idea of doing a residential school and whatnot, that's a big vision. And he has no team around him, he has no group, it's a kind of a cult of personality kind of thing with him. And with the investing thing, right? I mean, you can only kind of get so big as the team and network that you put around you too.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Oh, and people get mad at me because I say he should have started a daycare. I literally had this woman go off on me about it. And I said, here's the thing. A daycare would have provided him options to build from the ground up. You ever heard about the school in Brooklyn? I think it's Harlem Education something. Anyway,
Is that the one with Jeffrey Canada?
Yes.
Yeah.
That to me, that's starting with children from the ground up, right? Like you're going preschool, kindergarten, you're going elementary, you're hitting all the levels, and you have to start somewhere, right? And he could have always said, "Hey, I'm testing out my theories," right? He could have said anything, right? And that's what frustrates me, because there's so many ways to do that, and more people would have gave money. Like I honestly believe with the money he got, if he actually would have just started an after school program, people would have gave money. They would have gave more money because they'd have been like, see, he started.
I agree. I always thought he should have done a very small pilot kind of thing. I think he should have put a webcam in the classroom and showing him actually interacting with, it could have been 30, 40 kids, in the whole school or whatever. If he would have shown himself doing that on a day in and day out basis, I think the money would have kept flooding in, to be honest.
I
certainly would have, but, and again, to make a parallel in investments, right? When it comes to like with owning rental property for me, because of my income level and everything, I was kind of encouraged to start off, jump in and buy an apartment building, a small one or something like that. And I was intimidated to do that, but I said, look, I can swing a single family home and just do one, just to kind of get my feet wet and see what it's like to be a landlord. Because I was kind of scared of the idea of doing it, thinking it was going to be a big time drain and all that. But I just took that one and owned it for a few months, had the money to do more, but still just got my feet wet. And then things kind of started to accelerate as I got comfortable. You know what I mean? So it's just about starting,
It really is. It's something about, okay, so I was on this channel always talking about Lending Club. Well, people waited so long to like all of a sudden Lending Club changed the rules. You had to come in with $1,000. And then I got like 100 messages. Erica, they require $1,000. People don't have $1,000. And I was like, I've been in Lending Club for 4 years. They haven't started requiring it just now. I've been talking about it for 4 years. How long did you need me to talk about it before you took action? Some people are new to the channel and they just found me. But I'm talking about the ones who've been watching, right? So I didn't even feel bad. I was like, that's y'all fault. I've been in it for a while. Jamar, I'm not trying really hard to hold this voice down. I just have to remember whenever I have a microphone close to my face, I don't have to project my voice to the camera like I usually do. Or I don't have to project it like I'm in the car driving and the road's so loud. So I'm just adjusting it for you guys.
People ain't feeling that Becky voice.
Some people are just cracking on me. They're just cracking on me. I ain't worried about y'all. Okay. Cam said, I'm going to be at the Hood Estate event next year with 2 rentals under my belt. Cam, are you in the Hood Estates elite group? Please comment below. Julia Dixon, let's get it. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I see. Cam, you can buy land, trailers, and make opportunities for low-income folk. That's very, very true. I mean, I think Hood Estates is a prime example when you want to help low-income people, right? Their whole marketplace is providing safe, functional housing for low-income people in Jacksonville, Florida. And the reason why is they would go into places and it'd be exposed wire, it'd be stuff open, it'd be just like disgusting conditions. And the people would be like, well, this is all we can rent for our money. And he was saying there's no reason people should have to live like that. Do you know what I mean?
Who was that in Jacksonville? Because that's my market I invest in for rentals. Which group is
Hood
that?
Estates, Hood Estates, Sandy and Packy Judson. They have about 40 properties under their belt and under
Oh
their
wow.
company. Their son and daughter work for them. Both their sons work for them, actually, and their daughter.
Oh,
And so they're, you
I
should
definitely
really connect.
I should connect. Yeah, I mean that's my market is Jacksonville. So I know several of the neighborhoods pretty well, and like any big city, I mean it runs the gamut. I tend to invest in the B level properties,
Hmm.
and so I'd be curious to see what their rental units are like.
So, quick question: If are you going to be at the FidCon this year, Financial
At,
Con?
at FinCon, no, I hadn't planned on going. No.
Okay, okay, yeah, we're doing our mastermind in that area that weekend. So that week, so it's going to be interesting. We'll see if we can get some people from that event. Talk to a few of them. So, what's up, Fatima? Good morning, Donnie Breeze. Okay, let me see. Somebody has some comments here.
It says here,
Oh,
are you trying to gentrify, or what's the end goal? Oh man. Um, no, I'm not trying to gentrify. The neighborhoods that we invest in, they already are sort of B level neighborhoods, and our renovations that we do and everything are kind of just up to the neighborhood standards. So they're not taking B level stuff and making it top shelf A+ stuff and pricing people out. We kind of look at what the prevailing rents are, and we adjust to that. So definitely not gentrifying. That's the gentrification model. I mean, it's not really consistent with just like steady eddy cash flow. I mean, you're really trying to drive up the prices of the properties themselves so that you can sell at a much higher price point. So no, I'm not in that.
well, the funny thing about when people complain about gentrification, I go, don't you think we should have safe, functional housing in our neighborhoods? If you have empty and abandoned houses, don't you think they should be fixed? The whole gentrifying thing, there's this one person post all the time. She cracks me up on Twitter. She's like, Black people use the word gentrification like gentrification means something they can't afford. I just die. You can afford these houses. And a lot of times people get houses from their grandma, their aunts, they get them in Houston, and then they don't want to fix them. So when wholesalers come by and go, hey, I'll give you 30 grand for it. Yeah, you can take it, but you could have fixed it and had $130,000 value property. So a lot of times I get frustrated when people complain about gentrification, like these people don't deserve to live in functional communities. It's very upsetting. Now, I do see the point of gentrification, raising taxes, um, changing the neighborhood per se. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, don't you want these neighborhoods to work? Don't you want the school to have funding? Don't you want the streets to be safer? That kind of stuff like that.
Yeah,
There's some more questions. Again, thank you guys about farming. Yes, exactly. Cashmatic, I want to make more money or have an online business, have no skills, but will learn. So I think in the Facebook group, I'm going to talk more about e-commerce and probably do a few more videos. Especially, I don't know if anybody from the Wow Wednesday is here, but Money Mandu has started several online e-com stuff. And he does just straight up drop shipping. So does Andre Hatchett. So I'm trying to figure out a way to maybe bring Andre on and bring Money Mandu on, or put it in a course, or it's up to them, however they want to do it, because they do have, and Money Mandu has a whole athletic line he's getting ready to kick off. So I think that'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. See,
Uh, Anti-Gravity said farm loans are hecka cheap. If you live on the farm, you can get more money. What's up, Daryl Stevens? Let me see. Tame Tonic. Wait, where are we at? Where are we going? Let me see. Oh gosh, so many people. I think he's talking to the group. Okay. Oh gosh.
I see. Ron Brown. How can I start when I'm just trying to save for rentals? Well, yeah, there's no getting around the fact that if you want to get a rental property, I mean, generally speaking, you got to have some money to put down, Ron. So I don't know if that is savings from your main job, a side hustle, doing something that's more hustle and time intensive than money intensive in real estate, such as like wholesaling. I mean, so there's plenty of ways to get that startup down payment money, kind of depending on your situation. I know people that have used their 401ks to put down on a rental property, and I think there's ways you can even tap into that and not get hit with such a penalty and all that. So there's multiple different ways you can go.
Someone here, I guess Swarma Rambala, he asked, how can I note invest if I live in a state where it's not permitted? I live in Tennessee. Now, I think you're referring to Lending Club and a few of the sites. You can get access to Fundrise. You can get access to Reality Shares. You can get access to be a private investor every day of the week. You just might have to go to a bigger level. So Fundrise, those things are $500 type deals. But your state is talking about those particular platforms. They don't say that peer-to-peer lending is illegal. Note investing is legal in many different forms. They're talking about that particular site is not met the requirements for their state to allow them to perform there. Hence, Lending Club is not for you in Tennessee. Prosper may not be for you in Tennessee if they haven't met the state's requirements. But there's a million other ones. I mean, have you gone to have you got my book, 1 or 2? Have you got Dr. Meadows' book, or 3? Have you checked out other options? So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you're specifically talking about Lending Club, I think the last time I checked, they were in like 38 or 41 states, and so yeah, that particular platform, like I said, might not be available, but Prosper is another one if you're really specifically interested in peer-to-peer unsecured consumer loans. But if you're just looking to try to make some interest on your money loaning on an online platform, you can certainly go the real estate crowdfunding space. And another space too that is also very good is business lending. There are some parallel sites like Lending Club, but you're loaning money to businesses, and the interest rates can be even more attractive on there, like 14+%. The couple that are mentioned in my book, a couple of them are, you have to be an accredited investor, but there are others in there where you don't. So again, if you're just looking to make some nice interest, there are some opportunities if you're not stuck on like a Lending Club. But there's plenty of other ones out there.
Okay, so G-Man, I just found you very professional. Thank you. Erica Robinson, living in Baltimore, there are lots of projects. Will people still rent or buy in those particular areas for renovations, or should the whole block be torn down and rebuilt? And I have an answer for that. I don't know if you do, but Charm City Buyers, they're on my Instagram. They'll be at my mastermind in September, but that's what they do. They go up and down Baltimore, investing in Baltimore, doing Section 8 and doing just regular rentals. They have there's a lot of people investing in Baltimore, turning it around. I think the show The Wire just made you think, oh my God, I can never get over there. It's so dangerous. Those neighborhoods probably just need more investors. Bit by bit, they're fixing it, right? Like Detroit and all these cities, if something bad happens for a while, property values go down, right? Investors come in, bring it back up to stable. There's still people who are always going to live in Baltimore. There's still people who are always going to live in Detroit. There's still people going to live in these major cities that have issues. So it's just one by one, more investors. Any thoughts on that, Doctor? Because you're in Jacksonville, and people complain about Jacksonville being hood sometimes.
Jacksonville is an interesting city, and I'm about an hour away from Jacksonville. I'm actually up in southeast Georgia, but I go down there to invest. That's kind of where part of my real estate network is. The north part of Jacksonville historically is been the black side of town. There are good parts and some not so good parts. Jacksonville has over the last 15, 20 years in particular really sprawled down to the south. And so that's where, a lot of the very expensive and beachfront type stuff is. But we got everything there.
Yeah, I mean, it's got water. Here's the thing. When any major city you're talking about, if it's got water, if it's got parks, if it's got opportunity to ports, it has opportunity to grow up and down. So they have a football team. How many cities say they got a football team? It may not be a great football team, but they got a football team. Cam, I am in the elite group. Cam, you better text me and tell Packy I said what's up. This is what I like about this platform. We are about taking action one step at a time. Thank you.
See, Moses Jenkins, have you heard of borrowing against a 401k? And as a matter of fact, Moses, I actually did that. I borrowed against I took out a 401k loan at work. And I think the max that you could do was like 50K. I didn't take out that much, but I used it as like as a short-term thing to help finance a down payment on a rental. And the cool part about it was the terms were you actually could kind of set it up yourself in terms of how much you wanted to pay back and over what terms and all that up to a certain amount of limits. And you were basically paying the money back to your own retirement, account at work. So as long as you didn't miss any payments, they were very, very generous with whatever terms you wanted to set. And a lot of people don't realize that, yeah, you can borrow up to a limit and not incur any penalties or fees and things of that nature. And you have to charge yourself an interest rate. It can't be an interest-free loan, but again, you're paying it back literally to yourself. So that is oftentimes, particularly for us that have worked at a job for a long period of time, of course, your retirement savings, like it's meant for retirement. But if you've done your due diligence and you have a deal and you need a little chunk of money, for a lot of us, that represents the biggest chunk of accessible money that we have. And so I'm pro borrowing and using your 401k smartly. You don't want to lose it, of course, but it certainly is an option.
I would even say, working in the apartment industry, we had a lady who was in her 50s and she got laid off from her job. Mm-hmm. And knowing what I know now, I want to tell her, go get another job. It doesn't matter what the job is. Well, she was taking money from her 401k to pay her rent for like 6 months. And I want to go, no, honey, no.
Oh, and Cosmic Wisdom in the chat too. Very good point. Only watch out is that if you leave that company, you have to pay that 401k loan back in full. So yes. That's true. So yeah, if you yeah, that's right. So don't get fired when you got your 401k loan out or leave.
Yeah. Cosmic Wisdom also said he's got your book on his Amazon list.
Oh, great. I appreciate that, man.
Okay, exactly. Cosmic Wisdom. Gentrification is only bad when you don't own. Exactly. Prime example, the neighborhood I was in before Dr. Meadows, where they had the big house and the pool. Everybody was seeing me on the YouTube. She bought it for $280. After he did a little bit of touch-ups, just a little bit, $400,000. Almost a year and a half later. So it was like, imagine buying a house for $280 and then selling it for $400,000 a year and a half later. So that neighborhood is going through the roof. But you talk to some of the retirees in the neighborhood, and their whole thing is, I could sell, but where would I go? Everything in Austin is expensive. So I'm just glad my house is paid off and I'm going to sit here and enjoy myself. And so gentrification is bad when you don't own, because your rent go up, your taxes go up. If you own, yeah, taxes go up, but there's always so many different things you can do. Honestly, the saddest thing I see is the reverse mortgages out there. That to me is a ripoff, but that's another conversation for another day.
Jamar Van asked, Dr. K, do you do any mortgage note investing? Absolutely. And that was last week's private session with Erica. We talked all about that. I shared a couple of the funds that I invest in to do it with. And of course, the private lending to house flipping, that's a form of note investing too. But I invest with a couple of specialty funds that buy distressed mortgage notes. So absolutely.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Donnie Bree said, I bought my first rental in expensive blank New York for $325,000. 3-partner. We put $8K each in it on a 2-family near a college FHA loan. Congratulations, Donnie Breeze. That was good. Okay, it says, do you need an excellent credit score to join crowdfunding club? I say no. If you want to borrow money, you need, I think lending clubs start you at like 600 minimum.
If you want to borrow money, yeah, but if you got money to invest, no, you can. No,
they ain't worried about your credit. Right. They're like, do you have the bucks? Julia Dixon said, I was considering the elite group. I'll just tell y'all, if anybody y'all join the elite group, from this channel and y'all don't tell them I sent y'all, I'm gonna go to your house. I'm gonna break your ankles. Let me see. And Donnie Bree says his property almost doubled in value in 5 years. So let's see. Sure, love. Where can I get more info on farmland? You could go, depending on what city and state you're in. Like Cape Fear Farm Credit is for the Carolinas. Mid America Farm Credit is for Tennessee. Cape Farm Credit something is for Texas. They have their individual states they work with, but you can always find more information all over YouTube. And the reason I bring up farming so much is there is a return, Dr. Meadows, to like farming. There's like a lot of people doing the whole small 10-acre farm or 5-acre farm, and they still drive into work dad does, and they sell, butters and products. Like that whole Chip and Joanna Gaines thing is super. I mean, I'm telling you, it is like a big selling thing. A lot of ladies in Texas are doing that, where they're moving a little bit out just to get a 10-acre, and they'll be right beside their neighbor, because really the 10 acres is in the back, not the front where the road is. And the kids go to school like regular. I mean, it's a big thing because people do CSA, it's community supported agriculture. So it's a big thing. We'll talk about that on another video though.
Absolutely. That's great. Let's see. Even when I'm making $1,200 a month, can I invest in real estate, or do I need more income? Yeah, I mean, you're making $1,200 a month. Well, if you have anything left over, I mean, you certainly could put $100 on a crowd-funded house flip, say for instance. You certainly could do that. Although, if you have very little money to invest, I've transitioned to telling people to making those small investments, to say like, hey, maybe the thing you should invest in is like a mentor. I mean, you might be better off taking that $1,000 and spreading it around and taking a bunch of people to lunch or something like that can mentor you in whatever real estate aspect you want to get into. That ultimately may give you a much better return.
Jamar asked you, does your book touch on non-performing notes?
Absolutely. That was the class that we did last week for Erica's students and whatnot. That was the whole section of that, how to invest in non-performing mortgage notes, where private equity groups buy up mortgages that banks don't want anymore and work with the home buyers to get them performing again, turning them into cash flowing assets. And how you can participate in that. So yeah, the book itself has a whole chapter on that.
The book has a chapter on it. The video, the live Wednesday training. If you haven't got the class for the live Wednesday training, you need to get up in there. We're gonna bring several more people on. We're doing it for another, I think, 4 weeks, because I really enjoy it, because it's like I'm getting information, they're getting information, adding things to our portfolios. It's really fun.
Jason M asks, what's the crowdfunding real estate sites? Well, I'll give you a couple here. The one that's easiest and most accessible is groundfloor.com. They have the lowest minimums, like $100. Ones that I've done the most deals on is one called Realty Shares. I think their minimum is $1,000 to participate in a deal. And another one that I've done a fair amount of business on is Patch of Land. And I mentioned, the pros, the cons in the book and my experiences with them. I don't get any referral fees or affiliates or anything like that. I just sharing my knowledge that I've been on them for a while.
Fundrise is one I like using, but I mean, Rechuckles, I mean, there's so many. Again, grab Dr. Meadows' book, grab this book, or there's several videos on this channel where I've talked about it for like the past 5 years. There's a lot of good stuff. Let me see. Somebody asked that, okay, 100% Crypto said, at what point can you borrow against your rentals to make more investments?
Well, I can speak to that. I've done that, done the cash out refinance thing. And basically, once you own the rental, generally speaking, with some banks, it's as little as 6 months. Some want a full year, what they call seasoning. Basically for you to own the property for that amount of time, and then you can get it reappraised at that time. And if it's gone up in value, or even if it's the same value that when you first bought it, you can borrow usually up to 75% of whatever the appraised amount is. And you can pull that out and put a nice low interest long-term loan on it. And now you've gotten a big chunk of money back that you can, move on to your next deal. To give you some rough numbers that are pretty accurate, my very first rental in 2014 was $75,000. I owned it for about a year and a half. And the Jacksonville market, as it has done over the last several years, has continued to go up. And I had it reappraised. It appraised for like $101,000 18 months later. They let me borrow 75% of that $101,000. So that was essentially all the money I had in that deal. So I got all of my money back. I had a low interest, 4.25% 30-year loan on the property. The mortgage payment on it was like, I think maybe like $490, something like that. It rented out for right around $1,000. So I had a cash flowing asset paying $600 a month, cash flowing $600 a month, and I got back all the original $75,000 I put in it. And that's really the power of like real estate. When you can partner with, banks. They can be powerful partners if you kind of play by their rules and do things the way they want. But that's just an example of, yes, you can borrow against your rental property for sure.
Star Asia asks, can you refinance and get an FHA loan? So Star Asia, I think you're the best bet. There is a guy I always bring on the channel. I brought him on, Kareem Baldwin of New York, can do business in 50 states. He is a mortgage broker. You could call him and get that information. So, because on this channel, we always are CYA, consult your attorney, consult your accountant. Like just to be sure, don't take my word on it. Be sure. Not Love said, I'm so glad your live shows are up in my suggestions now. Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay. Jay Madison said, thanks, Doc.
Yeah. Well, we're right up against it here at the 9:30. So
oh yeah, we are. I apologize.
What's the next? Yeah, we'll be back though for sure. And I'd encourage you guys to get into Erica's private class. There's definitely more game getting given out in there.
Yeah, I might bring the doctor on and show him some auction stuff and let him tell me what he thinks, because there's some big auctions coming up in September. So September is going to be crazy, and I want to make sure that's in the class for you guys. I'm going to be trying to buy some stuff on auction. So I'm going to see if I can like pre-record half and then like talk about it live. Like if I get one or two of the properties, talk about the process, how I got in, the retainer fees, all the everything. I think that would be helpful. Doctor, what was the name of your YouTube channel one more time so everybody can see it in there?
Same thing. Alternative Financial Medicine. Yep. Same name, same title as the book. So
look, Dr. Meadows, he have a life, y'all. He got to go. Thank you, 100% Crypto, for the $2 super chat. Thank you. It's like 133 of y'all in here. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Someone, AB87, said he's great. The book links are in there. Thank you so much, Cam. Okay, so yeah. As the VC said, thank you both for your time and sharing your knowledge. Very much appreciated. Thank you all for coming out. I appreciate it, Doctor. We'll call it Investing with the Doctor. We'll get him on Thursdays or Tuesdays or whenever we can get him into the schedule. The man's busy. He out there solving cancer. I mean, come on, y'all. No. But yeah. But yeah, have a great night, Dr. Meadows. Thank you for coming out. Again, you guys, if you guys are looking for ways to invest your money and grow, here's the opportunities. Here it is. You can grab his book, you can grab my book. There's so many ways for you guys to start just even if you just put $100 a month into something that can grow for you. This is the opportunity. Thank you so much, Cam, posting the book for him. And Dr. Meadows, thank you for coming out tonight.
All right. We'll be linking up soon.
All right, be good. Hey, night, everybody. I am going to roll and go enjoy the silliness of YouTube. So, later.
All right.